An episode with Live at 2 with SFC Defined. Thank you guys for joining me today. Those of you that are here, certainly appreciate you. Hey, Catherine, certainly appreciate you guys joining me today. I know it's a holiday weekend and everybody's got a lot going on, so we're going to be very brief. Just wanted to come and close out this month's theme. You know, this month is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we've tried to spend some time talking about that by answering the question, how are you? And I think that we don't ever ask that question. If we do, it has become so routine and so common that we never really get a hey Sue, never really get a definitive answer or an authentic answer from anybody when we ask the question, how are you? We simply just pass it off as I'm fine and we keep it moving. We never really ask, like, no, really, how are you? And that's what we've been talking about all week, just trying to get to the bottom line. Like I said last week, you know, it's easy to address your physical health. You know, when you feel a headache, you feel a headache. When you feel a stomach ache, you feel a stomach ache. But having to address mental health issues and that self-care on an emotional and mental level, it can be a little difficult. For one, you know, a lot of people see it as something that is taboo. It's a little bit embarrassing, especially in our culture. We have not been raised or reared into thinking that it's okay to talk to a counselor or a therapist or a mentor or what have you, because I don't know, And I can say, in all honesty, that I felt that way too for a lot of years. I felt like it showed a sign of weakness. Like, we've been taught, those of you that have been brought up in the church, that you turn it over to the Lord and He'll work it out. And we sit there and we sit there and we think and we think and we ponder and we think, and nothing ever gets worked out. We go down this rabbit hole trying to figure out what's going on with us mentally and emotionally, and we never get the real answer to the question of how are you. So that's what we have spent our time on over the last few weeks, just talking to that question of how are you. I have to be transparent, and I know that we talked pretty good last week about trying to get to the bottom of your real feelings, and when there is something emotional going on, you being able to answer that question. Even if you don't answer it to anybody else, you need to be able to answer it to yourself. So we talked about that, but it's crazy because last week for me was a very challenging week, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. There was just, I felt off balance. I felt like this uneasiness feeling, like something was going to happen, not so much as something bad happening, but there was just this uneasiness about me. It was crazy because, part of me just wanted to be by myself, but the other part of me wanted to be around people. A part of me didn't want to talk to anybody, but then there was a part of me that wanted somebody to hear me and stuff. So there was this imbalance in me all last week, and I still can't explain it. Don't know. I took the time, for a few minutes, like a half a second. I was like, well, am I depressed? Is this what depression feels like? And, I quickly answered that. No, I am not depressed. But then why am I feeling this imbalance? Why am I feeling like I'm a little off kilter? And I had to just really go deeper into my own mode of self-care. And like I've shared with you many times before, it's the meditation, it's the exercising, it's the walking around in my yard, just trying to delve into nature to try to create that balance and get some of that vitamin D and all of that stuff in my. So that helped. But, I'm still trying to figure out what it actually was that sort of kind of threw me off last week. And so I think it was necessary because now I even further understand how imperative that self-care is, and how it is to just sit back and, it's almost like I needed a reset button for me mentally and psychologically. If I could just go in and hit some little button to reset my way of thinking, then that's exactly what I would have done. But I started remembering some of the things that we actually talked about on the show last week and the last couple of weeks, how that, when you feel that way, what do you do? So I started doing some little yoga poses, and I started doing some little stuff that was sort of kind of heavy. And one of the things that I really, really did was I started reading even more, because I sort of kind of, I would read for a few minutes. Prior to a few weeks ago, I was reading like, for an hour. How I would just pass time, my leisure time. I would just pick up a book and start reading. So I started busying myself with other things. And so this past week, because I felt a little imbalanced, I started reading a little bit more, stuff that encouraged me, inspired me, and keep me motivated. And that helped. But, this is a process. So let me hear from you. What have you done over the course of this month to really answer the question, how are you? What have you done to really get to a very authentic, unapologetic answer to the question of how are you? Have you been able to be honest with yourself? And I think I challenged you the first week we started this, is to go stand in front of the mirror and just ask yourself that question, how are you today? And being able to be a little honest with you, where were your emotions at the time? Where were your feelings at the time? What did you feel? Period. Like, what did you feel? Were you angry? Were you frustrated? Were you lethargic? Were you, whatever? How were you able to answer the question to yourself of how are you? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know from you, because I feel like that if I can get you to think, and you may not be comfortable sitting down talking to anybody, and I totally understand that. I have nothing but respect for that. However, I think that it's imperative for you to be able to talk to yourself and talk to yourself in a healthy way. And encourage and empower yourself. I think that there is a need for us to find outlets. I think there is a need for us and self-care habits that we can create so that we can make sure that we stay on top of our game. You know, I've been watching attentively all of the commercials now that is over the airways about mental health and how important it is. And, you know, we never saw that before. So there are a lot of people that are dealing with mental health concerns that don't find the help that they need. And that's what causes people to be depressed, anxious, hypertension, all of this stuff, because we don't address the issue that needs to be done. I have, I'll get you those books, Catherine, real quick. I'm looking, she's asking what books do I read. I think I've shared that with you guys several times over the course of the last couple of months, different books that I think that you guys can read. But I'll definitely get that. I'll have somebody to put that in the comment section, and we can do that. But yeah, so I think that is imperative. I think it's important, so very, very important for you to create and establish some healthcare practices that's good for you. And I'm not talking about using mine, even though you're more than welcome to if you can't think of any on your own, but it's not about me. Those are self-care practices for me, the meditation, the reading. You know, what is it for you? Go get your nails done, go get your hair done, go take a walk in the park, go, you know, whatever the case may be, as long as you are able to establish a routine that will create balance in your life, that will create peace and happiness in your life. That's what's most important. Is just about you finding what works for you. You know, there are so many people, I meet people all the time, and, you know, everybody's got different little self-care routines. You know, some people go to the gym and work out. Well, that stresses other people out, so it don't happen. Some people will read, some people will walk, some people will take a drive, some people will garden. Whatever the case may be, I think it's important for you to find those safe and healthy self-care practices, because that's what's important right now. You know, it's crazy. I think we are seeing the after effects of the pandemic when it comes to people's mental health. There is still people trying to figure out how to bounce back from that, and still people dealing with certain things. And so I encourage you, I strongly encourage you to take care of yourself mentally, okay? Not just physically, but mentally. It's crazy. I went to the doctor this past week just for my annual checkup, and everything looked good. And I thought it was so strange that, you know, I'm getting a good physical clean bill of health, and then mentally I'm off kilter. So I had to start paying a little bit more attention. You know, I get up and I exercise every day. I do whatever I need to do, but I don't think I focused enough attention on my mental and emotional health. And the moment that I started being aware of the feelings that I was feeling, or the emotions that kept coming up, I was able to address them as I need to. So I encourage you to do that. We are finishing up, and this is closing out this month's series of How Are You in relation to Mental Health Awareness Month. And just understand, like, even though mental health awareness is celebrated, it is highlighted during the month of May, mental health awareness is something that we need to pay close attention to every single day. And I'm not talking about just for us grown folk. Kids need for you to just simply sit down with them in a place where they feel comfortable enough to express themselves, and they need to be asked the question, how are you? And get them to talk prompt them into talking. Don't coerce them. Just simply give them ways where they can feel safe and comfortable enough to express themselves to you. Children need that. I think that we just assume that our children are all right because they're out playing and they're laughing. But children today are dealing with so many emotional and mental things that we as kids didn't have to deal with. So I encourage you, mental health awareness is not just for adults that are dealing with adult things, but mental health awareness is for everybody. It's for our children too, who desperately need to figure out how to answer the question, how are you? So that's it for me today, guys. I hope that you got something out of this month's series of How Are You, talking to and addressing mental health awareness. I encourage you to find what works for you. All right. Stay strong, stay focused, stay confident. Don't forget to like and share this video and the rest of this series, because if it blessed you, if it helped you, it will certainly help someone else that you know. So like and share this with you. Over the week, think back, look back through it. Sometimes I can talk a little fast, and you may not get exactly what you need to get or what I intended for you to get. But what I encourage you to do is go back over the next couple of days and just look back over the video and find something that you can hold on to, that you can plant as a seed, and all you got to do is water it so it can give you what you need to get. Okay, next month starts a new month. It's June, y'all. Can y'all believe it is June? So we're gonna come up with another series, and I look forward to talking to you guys next Sunday at 2 o'clock. Tell somebody to join you on the show next week. Take care.